What up, champions, and welcome to step number 4 of Awaken Your Inner Champion. If you have not yet watched step number 1, I recommend and highly suggest you go watch it. It's totally free. If you have purchased your premium package, let's freaking go. Then you have access to every single step, including this one and the next 3 to come, which will be released in the next 3 weeks. But let's get started today. Let's get started right now with step number 4. Perfect timing. Everything happens as it should. Have you ever been in your car? For all my drivers watching this right now, have you ever been in your car and you're driving and you can see far in front of you traffic? And you're like, oh my goodness, here we go. And you go into traffic, and you stop. And then it starts to speed up, and then it slows down, and you stop. And it slows you down for just about, let's say, 10 minutes. And your reaction is, ugh. And people are cutting you off. They want to pass in front of you. They want to pass behind you. And all you're saying is, just stay in your lane. And you get frustrated. We're going to dive deep in the root of frustration and how it ties into accepting that everything happens as it should. So, my belief is that the root of frustration comes from not accepting our lives, not accepting events that happen to us. And it is as simple as this, and this has become a habit amongst the average people among us, to not accept things like the weather. Oh, it's a rainy day. I really didn't want it to be rainy. Oh, it's a sunny day. It's really hot, man. I miss the winter. And when the winter hits, oh, it's so cold. I can't wait for summer to get here. Oh my goodness, spring is just around the corner. I can't wait for this winter season to get away from me. And we fail to acknowledge and accept that we are here presently, living every single moment that's fleeting from our life. As I am recording this, every second that I take, I will never get back. But that's okay because I accept it. So it's in the acceptance of what we have. You know, Jim Rohn said it best. He said, don't curse all you've got. It's all you've got. Take advantage and use what you have to your advantage to grow. And that's when we start to awaken, not only awaken that inner champion that we have inside of us, but to help that champion grow and thrive. From lesson 1 till now, if you have applied the keys that we have talked about, your champion's awoken. Now it's time to get him to thrive. There's this great quote that my uncle said. He said, you know, Jay, there's no pressure if you don't resist. Now, I trust you have your pen and paper ready, handy. Take that down. There is no pressure if you don't resist. And also take down quote number 1 from Jim Rohn. Don't curse all you've got. That's all you've got. Use it to your advantage. And then quote number 2 from my uncle, Mr. Washington, who said, there's no pressure if you don't resist. Most of the times in life, and I can only speak from my experience, all the times that my body has cringed and that my life has stopped, like I've become stagnant, are all the times, and I look back and I've done my retrospection, my after action report on most of my life. All the times that this has happened are all the times that I did not accept the situations that I was put in. Actually, not that I was put in, that I put myself in. right? Let's get back to our example of traffic up ahead. Now there are two different kinds of people, or two different schools of thought. All right? I see traffic ahead of me. My first thought on one side is, oh, here comes the traffic again. Where Wednesday I went through this, Tuesday and Monday I went through this whole year. Every time it's the same thing. This traffic is always there, just to like ruin my day. That's one school of thought. Second school of thought, all right, I'm leaving home. There's probably going to be traffic. Let's use this time in our car as a great time to study, whether it be motivational tapes. I want to be a happier person. I'm going to study happiness. And you know what's funny, guys, is all these things tie into, all the steps tie in together. They all tie in together. So there's always two sides of the coin. And you've probably heard this story, right? You've probably heard this story before. There are two siblings. Actually, there are two twins that are born. They have the same dad, of course. And that dad just happens to be an alcoholic. And sadly, he beats his kids, does not treat them well all throughout their childhood. One of the twins grows up to be an alcoholic just like his dad. And the other grows up to be the greatest father figure of all for his children. And here's why. And I'm going to explain how this ties into accepting, but moving forward with it. Accepting and becoming a better version of myself. Accepting and becoming a champion. Accepting and winning at the one thing that we were put on this life to do, on this earth to do. Win at our life. So on one side you have the twin that grows up to be an alcoholic just like his dad, and someone asks him, well, why did you become an alcoholic? Well, I was beat as a kid, and I saw my dad as an alcoholic, so I told myself, man, that's how I'm gonna be, and that's my fate. That's, I not that I accept it, but it's just thrown upon me. That's like my role model that I have. So I guess that's the life I'm going to live. And you have the other side, the other twin who someone asks, man, how did you turn out to be a father? How did you turn out to be such a great father to your children? And it's the same story. He says, my father used to be an alcoholic, and I promised myself that I would never let my children live what I lived. I promised myself that I would become a better person because of what I went through. I accept that what I went through wasn't great, but I also accept that it was meant to happen, because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am today. You see, guys, I just listened to a Denzel Washington quote. I was watching Reels, and I didn't even have to watch all of it, because Denzel said, the thing that stood out, Denzel said, I don't see any problems in the world. I see opportunities. In our last step, we spoke about perspective and how life is a game of perspective. And perspective, however you want to see it, I see it as the way I perceive the world, how I perceive situations. And that's why the inner champion, it always starts within us, right? So when we're able to accept, first off, that we are where we are because of the decisions that we have made. We are in traffic because we decided to go to that job, to accept that job. We accepted that job. The job didn't take us. No one forced us to get that job. Right? So while we're in traffic, we've accepted that we chose that job, and we also accepted that we can use this time to become a better person. Just realized that my straw is upside down. And here's the thing. We always have the power to accept what is happening to us. The moments, and I need you to take a second after this step and think about all those moments where you're like, no, it should not happen. This is why me? And all these questions going through your head about things that should not happen, that your life shouldn't be this way. My question for you, when you ask yourself, why is this happening? Or you're telling yourself it shouldn't happen. If it shouldn't happen, it would not have happened. It would not have happened. The mere fact that it's happening is the proof that it's supposed to happen. Whether good, whether bad. And it's what happens after. It's how we perceive the situation after that will make the big difference in who we become. Always remember that. Every situation that we have been through, anything, it has happened to other people through the years before us, and it will happen to people in the years after us. When we're long gone, it will keep happening. The difference in these situations is the after. With every person, it's the after. What is the person going to do with that situation? Who is that person going to become after that situation? Again, as Jim Rohn said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Because at the end of the day, it's who you become that's the most important part. And I believe that it doesn't only apply to your job. It applies literally to every single situation that you go through, whether it be the way you come in the door after work, whether it be the way you go to the bathroom, whether it be the way you sit down in front of the TV or you interact with people. It's about who you become in those situations. And you might be asking yourself, Jay, what do you mean? What do you mean the way I walk in the house after work? All right. I make it a habit that as I put my key into the door, as a parent, if I have had a day where things have not gone the way I thought they would go, because to me, every day is a great opportunity to be my best. Every day is a privilege for me to live. So every time I put my key into that door and I go to open it, my energy is up. You know why? Because I have 4 human beings on the other side of that door that deserve the best of me. They don't deserve anything that happened before I walk in the door. They deserve the best of me. And those 3 human beings are my wife, my 2 sons, and my daughter. Then when I walk through that door, it's as if Dad is floating. Dad is there, and that's why they scream, "Daddy, catch me!" And I let them jump and I grab them. I could be sore. I could have done 5 workouts. It matters little. It matters little. Because in front of me, I have my children and I owe them everything. The way you walk into the door, into your house after a long day of work, will determine not only how your children see you, the energy you give them, or your spouse, but how you see yourself. The relationship between you and yourself. Because let's just do some quick math, okay? There's 365 days. Actually, there's 52 weeks in a year, right? 52 weeks. Now let's just say you have a month off. A total of a month months vacation within those 52 weeks. So this takes off 4. Let's do 45 weeks. Let's take off 5 weeks. So 52 minus 5 is 47. So you have 47 weeks as a parent that you walk in the door. Now imagine all throughout those 47 weeks you walk through the door and your energy's down because of whatever excuse you want to give yourself, that work is too much, that your colleagues are too much, that the weather is bad, that there are bad drivers. And when there are bad drivers, literally you are probably the bad driver. And you have every excuse. 47 weeks of that action repeatedly. 47 weeks. And then the example that you give to your children after 47 weeks. We don't have to look very far to know why our children are the way that they are. If they look at us as models. Like subconsciously, their subconscious registers most of everything we do. So imagine after 47 weeks of you coming home and you're just mad at the world. Well, you just give that to your children. Here, be mad at the world. And you're like, no, it's impossible. It works that way. Is it? Go do an after action report. Go look at what you've been doing for the past 3 years. How you've been living for the past 3 years. If you have young children, go look at your children and go look at how you've been living for the past 3 years, and go see if it's if how they act at the moment is in relation to how you have been coming home every single day. I promise you, it's related. I promise you. Send me a message. Send me a message after you've looked through the past 3 years of your life and how your children act. Every single thing we do, every single thing that happens to us is supposed to happen. Because if it wasn't supposed to, it would not have happened. And here's another question that when people ask this question, I answer with another one. The question of why me? Why me? Why am I going through this? Why? Well, here's a question that I answer with. Why not you? Who else is supposed to live your life? Who else is supposed to take your place and live the emotions that you live? And you might be telling me, Jay, it's a rhetorical question. Like, I'm just saying, why me, man? Because, I just live a hard life. Like I got this, that, and this, and that. You're taking things way too personal. All these things that you have going on in your life that you see as overwhelming, to somebody else, it's a joke. To somebody else, it's a lot. But remember, to you, the person who has to live your life, if you've been repeating to yourself for 47 weeks out of the year, because you have 5 weeks vacation, right? So during that 5 weeks, you could just chill. But imagine for 47 weeks, you've repeated to yourself that work is tough, that 40 hours is a lot, that traffic is just, that the weather is horrible, that when it's too hot, you miss the cold, that when it's cold, you miss the hot. You are confusing your own self, and you do it in little increments that add up, and you don't even realize it in the way you speak. It literally builds the way it builds your thought pattern. But it happens in such small increments every single day that you don't realize it. Now here's where the game gets interesting. Here's where the game gets very interesting. Remember those two situations, right? We have one person who sees the traffic but knows he's going into traffic and says, I'm going to use this time to study. I'm going to put in I'm going to put an audio book of something that I want to learn. And then you have that twin that said, I'm not going to be an alcoholic because my dad was an alcoholic and I don't want to make my children live what I lived, right? What do they have? What do these people have that made them different? Awareness on what happened, what is happening, and how they can use it to move forward. You see, the point of these steps of awaken your inner champion is not just to have some keys and have some lessons and just put them down on a paper, take some notes and leave them there. It's for you to grow your awareness of where you are, who you are, to use that and to move forward and start winning. And that's when the game gets interesting. I want you to imagine for 47 weeks in little increments every single day, you are in your car learning about something. Learning about, I don't know, economics, learning a new language. 47 weeks. Within your year, you take 47 weeks and you just play something in the background. I want you to imagine for 47 weeks, every time you entered into your house, you reminded yourself, energy all the way up. I owe it to myself and to my family to give them all of me. Just do it for 47 weeks. Yeah, but Jay, 47 weeks, like, oh my goodness. Okay. Oh my goodness, you've literally been doing it for over a decade and even more. And you had no problem doing all the negative stuff. You had no problem whining about the weather. You had no problem doing that. Now I'm asking you to do one set of 47 weeks where you literally just turn the key into the lock, open the door, and tell yourself that you have more energy than you've ever had before because you owe it to yourself and to your family to be at the top of your game. Literally, that took 5 seconds, but I already hear people, but 47 weeks, Jay, it's a long time. Is it? I don't know how old you are or how young you are. How many 47 weeks have you lived so far? That you've wasted so far? Complaining about things that, not that don't make any sense, but that have not brought you forward. So here's what I want to get to, guys. Here's what I want to get to. Why not you? Jim Rohn asked 4 questions. He said, why? Why not? Why not you? And why not now? As you go through these steps and you take these notes, remember, the point of this is for you to start winning at your life. So with every step, we are narrowing your vision to see your life, to see what you have to do, to see who you've been, who you are, and where you're going. That is the theme. In that awareness that you're going to build, your champion will become unstoppable. Unstoppable. This is a promise. And the more we move forward, guys, the more we go, we still have steps 5, 6, and 7. Please be ready. Please be ready. I just might hurt your feelings. And that's okay, because, your feelings have not been hurt enough. Sometimes it takes that. Have you ever heard that the magic that we're looking for is in the actions we're not taking? You'll probably hear it in some reels, but write it down if you haven't heard it yet. The magic that you are looking for is in the actions that you are not taking, that you know you should be taking. Now here are the two people that are in your head right now. One saying, yeah, no. Yeah, whatever, I don't need that. That's okay, you don't need to accept it. But there's the other part of you that says, I accept that message. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that to move forward. I'm going to use that everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. What are the actions that I have not been taking that I know will move me forward? Catapult me into a future that I am not too sure of right now, but that kind of makes me scared. That kind of gets those butterflies going in my stomach. On this last note, as you go through life and the situations come up, and the situations could be as simple as waking up and going to bed, brushing your teeth, praying, breathing. Those are the simple things in life. Accept them. Make it a habit. Make it a habit that when it rains, it's supposed to rain. The earth needs it. That when it's sunny, beautiful. We need the vitamin D. When it's windy, hey, pollen needs to move through the air. Find ways to accept. And in that acceptance, whether in traffic, whether you're past, whether where you're living at the moment, pressure will be released off your shoulders. Because remember, there's no pressure if you don't resist.